Oh, we're not. Are we live? We are live now. What is up, guys? MMA Dynasty. We're with Flagrant Sports this time. We're back with another MMA debate, and we have a lot of good topics for you. We're a few weeks away from a massive card, UFC 285, and we'll definitely talk about that. But the first order of business, we have some news about Khamzat Chimaev. Apparently, he made a post on Instagram today saying that he wasn't going to be back until after Ramadan, which is looking like, his training camp probably won't be over until like mid to late summer. This guy might not even come back till the fall. What does that mean? I think it might mean that he's planning on going back down to welterweight, because why would he wait so long? What do you guys think about it? Jacob Ross, Flagrant Sports, you can start first, and then I'll give my recap after Jacob goes.
Hearing this news, it's honestly very disappointing because you think about how much hype and potential this guy had after even just the Gerald Meerschaert fight or the Li Jingliang fight. This guy's stock was through the roof. He looked like this invincible monster, and then he got sick, and then that kind of pushed back his timetable for his return, and then so the hype dipped just a little bit, but then he fought Gilbert, and that was such an exciting fight, such an incredible fight, and he beat who was a top 3, I think, opponent at the time. Then you would feel like right after that, the fight that made sense and that Dana was planning was him versus Colby on the ABC card. Everyone was in agreement on that, besides the fighters, obviously. But who wouldn't want to see that fight? We need to see Khamzat fight immediately. And I understand now with Ramadan, that's completely different. He has to do what he's got to do. But I just feel like his potential is just kind of being wasted here. And it's a little frustrating because we've seen in the past guys like Darren Till and all these guys that are pushed so fast to the finish line, to the belt. It's like Khamzat should be getting this treatment. He might be the most legit prospect we've ever seen in terms of just skill set. Now he has some work to do with his defense on the feet and whatnot, but I mean, we got to get this guy a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Lucas. I think this must mean he's going back to welterweight. It lines up perfectly with Usman Edwards 3. He'll fight the winner clearly. They're going to need a couple months to probably 6 months. I mean, depending on how like the fight goes. I think either guy is going to take a long recovery, because if Leon wins, it's a big deal. I'm sure he'll celebrate a lot. If Usman wins, I think he'll think about retiring, if not retire. So which always takes a bit to figure out who's going to be fighting for the vacant belt, stuff like that. But I think it must mean he's going to 170. Which makes me super exciting because I never really liked the 185 idea yet, because I thought Robert Whittaker, which is the guy he would have had to fight likely, was a really bad matchup for him. I think Khamzat would win. I think he'd find a way to get it to the ground, end up winning, but I think it'd be a very tough fight, and I think it could have went either way. It was more of I was probably like 60-40% confident on Khamzat winning. So, I think in terms of the welterweights, I think all these matchups are really favorable for him. If he fights Usman, I think he knocks out Usman. He's old. He's washed at this point. He just got knocked out. His knees are done. I don't think he's going to have a problem with Usman. I think Leon, I think he submits him in the first round. Colby, he's not even on the roster for what I'm concerned. You know what I mean? This guy is never going to come back. Unless what I could see happening is I could see the UFC doing Khamzat versus Colby for the vacant belt. In that case, Colby I could see would come back. So, which is kind of shitty, but I could definitely see that. But regardless, I think 170, I think there's a lot better fights for him, a lot easier fights for him. And if he wins at 170, who knows? Pereira may be still champion at that point. I think that he can move right up into a title shot and avoid fighting Whittaker and just fight Pereira, because I think I don't know about you guys, but I pick Pereira beating Whittaker if they were to fight. So So I think he should fight 170. I think that's the plan. I think he's going to win at 170. I think he's going to move up, not even defend the belt, because I think he really struggles with these weight cuts. Move up, fight Whittaker. Fight Pereira, beat Pereira, and then maybe fight Whittaker then, or maybe Adesanya. Who knows where he'll be at? So that's my prediction. That's my opinion.
Man, I have to say that I do really think that he's going to be moving down to welterweight. I mean, why else would he take so long to fight? And why would he be doing it after Ramadan? First of all, we all know everyone's going to be fasting if you're practicing Ramadan. And I think that this is going to be something that Khamzat can use to propel him into a successful weight cut. And I think it makes perfect sense. I mean, think about it like this. Your option at 185 right now is Robert Whittaker because Pereira and Adesanya, they're tied up. And, Whittaker is just such a nightmare matchup for Khamzat. His team knows it. Everyone who follows MMA knows it. And he probably knows it too, as confident as he is. I just have to agree with Flagrant Sports on the fact that it's a shame that this guy's whole, stardom was built off of being active. And you're right when you say that he is one of the only super hyped up prospects that actually deserves to have a big push in the rankings. Now we kind of got that against Gilbert Burns, but Gilbert Burns is also probably the toughest matchup for him at welterweight, as well, based on the fact that if he takes down Kamaru, he takes down Covington. Sure, they're hard to take down, but they don't have the same issues that Gilbert Burns will present once the fight gets there. And I think that although it's really good that Khamzat's moving back to welterweight, for anyone who's a big Khamzat fan, that he could clean up shop at welterweight. Think about it like this. He has a pretty good size advantage over everyone, a strength advantage, and he is, in my opinion, the most dangerous grappler in that division right now. And even if he does take on a guy like Kamaru or Colby, I don't think he'll be forced to stand with him. I think he'll go in there and find a way to take them down. And once it's on the ground, I don't think that those guys are going to be able to survive. I think he's going to knock a guy like Colby Covington out. I really do. And I think he'll be able to choke out Kamaru Usman. That would be my pick in those fights. I think it's a great move. If Leon Edwards beats, Kamaru Usman next month, then it's not too early for him to turn around in early fall. And that would be a perfect time for Khamzat to sneak in there and steal that belt. If Kamaru wins, it kind of worries me because I get the idea that he'll retire. So that would kind of suck. And then, we have Khamzat Chimaev fighting for a vacant belt, but maybe, just maybe, it would be against Shavkat Rakhmonov. Maybe Shavkat takes another fight later on in the spring. If he finishes Jeff Neal really quickly, that could be another option. But I think it's the right move from a business perspective for Khamzat. But as a fan, I wish I could see him getting in the cage sooner. Even if you were to take a loss to Whittaker, I feel like that's an acceptable loss. But a loss is a loss. And we can sit here and say it's an acceptable loss all day. That doesn't change the fact that seeing someone as dominant as Khamzat literally losing for the first time makes us think differently about him. And that's just the truth. Khamzat had this aura about his game early on in his career that just made everyone think that he's untouchable. Gilbert Burns proved that wrong. Khamzat is definitely touchable, and he still was able to get past Gilbert Burns. But if he takes a loss to Whittaker, that aura that was already shaken up in the Burns fight is going to take another hit. So I think it's a good move overall. I just wish that we could see him fighting soon, man. But it is what it is. It is what it is.
He's going to have to establish himself in one division. He's going to have to start out in one division, and then if he wants to do that whole double champ thing or multiple weight classes, he's got to start from somewhere. He's got to build a foundation. You can't just go from 70 to 85 to 70 again. You have to make a name for yourself in one of these divisions. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather. But so I think that 70 makes the most sense because of the size advantage. There's probably some more favorable matchups. Well, maybe. I don't know. 85 has a lot of strikers, but it's one of those things where you look at Khamzat and you just think that someone like Colby, you just think that yes, he has improved his striking defense, his head movement and all that stuff. He's still no Volkanovski or Islam. He's not this defensive mastermind. He's
sure.
hittable, and he's been
Very
dropped
hittable
against Jorge. He's been dropped against Usman in both fights. It's one of those things where it's just you gotta, I don't know, you just have to really take advantage of some of these matchups. Personally, I think that Colby beats him. I could just barely, but I would take Colby in a matchup, and I would take Usman in a matchup. But you still just have to make a name for yourself in one of these two divisions, and I think welterweight makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think so.
So you would pick Usman to beat Chimaev?
Yes. I don't think it would be a blowout, but I'm going Usman.
Why would you pick that though?
And Colby.
And
I would
Colby.
and Colby. I think Colby and Usman both beat Khamzat, and I think a lot of that is due to Khamzat has a lot of issues with, sort of defensive ring craft, if you will. He gives up a lot of ground whenever he pressures guys, and he doesn't effectively do anything to maintain that forward pressure. He just kind of just falls back, and then he tries to build on what he just gave up. And I think we just haven't seen him past the second round. Well, I guess no, I take that back. He went to 3 rounds against Gilbert, but we haven't seen him in the championship rounds. That's for sure. Those are rounds where Usman and Colby both thrive. So when it gets to those rounds, how is he going to look? Is he going to be diminished? Maybe his cardio is incredible, but it's just there's very few guys in the entire UFC where they possess that type of power that Khamzat possesses. They fight with that pace and that relentlessness that Khamzat does, and they're just as strong in those later rounds. It's not a common thing. So I just think Usman and Colby just weather the storm. I think they use their cardio and their wrestling to just keep it competitive, and I think those late rounds is just going to be where they thrive.
Yeah, I just want to comment on this real quick, though. I just want to say this. So there's a few people in the chat. Strickland's burner is talking a lot about, Covington and how he's beat some top guys. And I do think Covington is like kind of in a way to a lot of people. Everyone considers him overrated, but I actually think there's so many people that consider him overrated that he is in a way underrated. That being said, I don't think that Colby Covington has a great chance to beat Khamzat. First of all, Colby Covington is, he's actually decent on the feet, but he's very slow twitch. He has no power. That's no secret. Sure, he's not throwing everything into his shots, but when it comes to him finishing a guy like Khamzat, it's off the table for me. I can't see that as an outcome. He hasn't finished a guy like Masvidal, who in those championship rounds was dead and basically was completely gassed. He didn't finish a guy like Robbie Lawler, who was completely gassed in their championship rounds. Sure, he finished Tyron Woodley, but Woodley's body was kind of falling apart in that fight too. So I mean, it was the fourth round. I don't know if I just consider that. I don't think Colby is taking Woodley down and beating him up when he fights Khamzat. You know what I mean? Like, another thing I want to say is, in order for a guy to beat up Khamzat on the feet, let's say Colby does stuff the takedowns, which I don't think he would be able to do. I think he has a decent chance, actually, but I think if Khamzat really wants to take it to the ground, he'll do it. That being said, if he's forced to fight with Colby, there's really no significant danger coming his way. I don't think that Colby has the kind of power and explosiveness to be able to deter a guy like Khamzat Chimaev from at least being in the fight the entire time in the later rounds. So even if Khamzat is tired in the fourth and the fifth, I still think he has the power advantage, and I still think he's at least there to have a bit of a scrap with Colby. And since he has that power like a Kamaru Usman, Colby's not just going to be able to bully this guy up against the fence, because again, that threat of the takedown is not going to work against a Khamzat. So I think that Khamzat, even if it goes to a decision, at least takes 3 rounds. And sure, even if Colby wins the last 2, they'll be close. I think Khamzat, personally, I think he knocks Colby out, just because I think that Khamzat would be able to jump on a Colby Covington. Colby's been dropped. He has a good chin. He can recover really quickly. I just think Khamzat would get him out of there, man, because when Khamzat dropped Gilbert, Gilbert still is just
Gilbert's great on his back also.
Exactly. And when it comes to Usman, I think that, it's different on the feet. It's more dangerous for Khamzat on the feet. Absolutely. But I think that if Khamzat takes Usman down like Edwards did, I think he submits him easily, because Usman, man, his ground game, his jiu-jitsu, it's not looking that hot. And I think Khamzat subs him. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's not looking hot, but I think a lot of that takedown so we have to preface that with that's the only time Usman's ever been taken down. Like, we can't act like this was just like a consistent thing in that Leon fight. Like,
well, he did get choked out early on in his career. That's how he originally lost,
He did. And
also like he just got KO'd with 1 shot.
Right. Yes, he did. But I think a lot of that is the John Jones Gustafson thing, where it's just like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. And, but still fair play to him. And he even took Usman's back. And that's an instance that you can look at and be like, hey, like, what if Khamzat has Usman's back? It's not looking good. But I still think, man, especially I think Usman's a much worse matchup than Colby is, for sure, because of the power that Usman possesses. He has a better chin. arguably better cardio and wrestling. He just does pretty much everything better than Colby. But I mean, what's going for Khamzat in those matchups is that Usman, although he is making progress with his striking, it's still not fantastic. Like there's still moments where he loads up and it looks ugly and it's very, very loopy and wide. And Khamzat could potentially capitalize off of
good
that.
after 2 punches. After his second punch, he just is sloppy as hell. Like
yeah, it's not great.
He
He
cannot
only throw
follow up with a
1-2s.
clean combo.
He can
Yeah,
only
he can
throw
throw
1-2s.
1-2s. That's it.
Yeah, he's got a nice jab. I'll give him that.
Yeah. But his defense isn't good though. That's what people don't realize.
Yeah, he gets
also.
hit too.
Yeah,
he
he gets
does.
hit by. He was getting pieced up by Colby Covington, a guy who
And I think-
he got wobbled by Colby a couple
Khamzat's
times.
longer. He hits
Yeah,
harder.
this is what I think about the matchups.
bigger.
Like, the thing is,
Yeah,
like,
he's bigger.
you really see like Usman holding Khamzat down? Because I just can't. I don't see that as a possibility.
We
Usman
just don't
won't
know.
do it. I think we do know, like, who's finished guys without getting hit ever like that. You know what I mean?
Put Usman against Li Jingliang. Oh my
He
God.
did the Kevin Holland.
What are we talking about?
Gerald Meashart. He knocked out Gerald Meashart with
Yeah,
one
it's
punch.
Gerald Mershart. What are
He's still
Reese
like,
McKee?
Colby's
Is this
never
what we're
knocked out a
doing?
guy with one punch.
Yeah,
Neither is Usman.
Kobe ain't KOing any. I think Usman,
Not with
of
one
course, he's had
punch.
some impressive knockouts over Jorge, of
But
course.
not like with the first punch. Also, when is neither of those guys gotten hit once in a fight? Like Khamzat showed the most dominant grappling.
I think
we've
Khamzat
ever
is
just seen in
I
start a
think
UFC
Khamzat is
career.
definitely like a more impressive grappler. Like I just think you couldn't even debate that who's the best guy on the ground. I could debate who's
oh
the
my
better
gosh.
who's the better MMA wrestler. I could debate that, but when it comes to like threat of getting finished when it's on the ground, I think Khamzat's the best out of all three.
But it's based off of, okay, yes, I understand the threat thing. Khamzat does appear to be the best guy when it comes to finishes. Like you look at that, was it I think the Darcy had against Kevin Holland, is either a Darcy or an Anaconda, either which.
I think it was the Anaconda.
Okay, yeah. And so he had that, and then he had the one punch Mershart knockout. I will say, no matter who you're going against, that's still pretty crazy to do that. The first punch you throw, and then the Leech performance. Once again, it doesn't really matter who you're going against at that point. To be able to do that to a top 10 guy or top 15-ish, insanely impressive. But like I think we have to pump the brakes just a little bit. I think when we look at it's Li Jingliang. Like, yes, he is a dangerous guy. He possesses a lot of power.
I don't think he's gonna just run.
He's never got submitted in his career.
I don't think he's gonna run through Usman. Like I think Usman is gonna. I think he's gonna clip Khamzat a few times. I just
I think he finishes
Khamzat
Colby in the
finishes him.
first round.
You think he finishes Colby in the first round?
I think he chokes out. I think he takes Colby down and chokes him out right away.
I just have it the reverse.
Because-
I think he finishes. I think he knocks Colby out. I think
he chokes him out. I think he's too strong for Colby. I think Colby's small at that weight class. I think he'd be able to take him down, and I think he'd choke him out. We don't see Colby on his back much, and when we saw Colby on his back, what happened? He got finished. Remember? In that
yeah,
one
I mean
fight?
that happened a while ago.
But still,
But that's against Kamaru Usman.
no, not against Usman. He got choked out.
He got
remember?
choked
Warley
this
Alves.
Yeah. Long time ago.
He got tapped, but still.
But I do want to say this. I understand what you mean. Like I don't see Khamzat making Usman look like Li Jingliang. Like
no, I don't think he does that to Usman. I think he just does that to Covington. I think Usman.
I don't think he does that to Covington.
You think he does the Colby what
I don't
he
think
did
he
to the
picks
Leech?
up Covington.
No, not like that. But
Covington is a really high level wrestler.
I think he takes him down, and then I think he chokes him out.
I'm about to have a
I
heart
think
attack.
that Usman is going to be easier for Khamzat to take down than Colby. And
No,
I
think it's
know
opposite.
Khamzat doesn't
I think
have
it's
the
opposite.
same style of takedowns as a Habib who like uses a lot of trips and the sweeps and all that.
Mhm.
But Khamzat's more of like a freestyle wrestler.
Yeah.
That being said, he chains it together so well, and I think he's just going to be able to like grit and strength his way to get Usman to the ground. And when it comes to Covington, I think he's just going to stand with him. I think he likes his chances there. He knows that Usman has some power. I think he goes in for the submission. I think listen, I think if Usman was taken down by Covington, which I really do think he was, even though Covington didn't really establish control, I think he can be taken down by Khamzat, man. Khamzat is super, super strong,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the pressure he gives is like.
And like who else who else has really gone for takedowns against Usman that's even close to a guy like Khamzat? I know Covington did, and Covington got him down. And Covington is like,
I don't
a
think he did.
small welterweight.
Also, Usman's only getting older, and his
That's
knees
another
are
thing,
bad.
man.
That's
And
fair.
he's getting older. He got KO'd. The guy got KO'd, knocked out like
This
in
is
his
fair.
last fight.
What if his
Colby's
chin never
never been
recovers?
chinned like that. Colby's been put out, he's not really. He's been TKO'd, but not chinned.
He wasn't out. He wasn't really close to
Yeah, he
being
wasn't
out.
out.
He was more close to being out in the second Usman fight
Yeah.
than the first one.
So
I
you
also think the thing about
let
Burns,
me ask you though, Flagrant. If
Uh-huh.
if Chimaev were to beat a guy like Colby or Usman, how do you think he gets it done? Does it have to be a finish? And if it is, how does he finish them?
Oof, I think he could win by decision. I think it's just hard for me to imagine. I mean, he could knock out Colby or TKO him. I think that might be the way he beats a Colby, is he just finds his head and not moving at all, and he just catches him, or he could submit him on the ground. I could see it. I don't know how likely it is, but with Usman, that's tougher because he's Colby, but just everything's better and
Yeah.
everything's is smarter and all that.
But the chin, I don't know if his chin is better than
Yeah,
Colby's though, and that toughness
well, now
matters.
right now it's a question mark, that chin.
Yeah.
After the Edwards fight, we'll have to see where that is, because Edwards is going to test it in that fight. He's a fantastic striker, but I think probably by decision, I'd say for Khamzat and Usman, it's just hard to imagine Usman getting choked out or him getting knocked out, even though we just saw it. But that was some Hail Mary attempt after Usman smashing that dude for 3.5 rounds. It's just hard to see a finish, is basically what I'm trying to say. I could see one for Colby more than I could at Usman.
Yeah.
I just think it's the age. I really think it comes down to the age in terms of Usman, his knees. The dude can't even fucking walk down the stairs. I don't know if you guys heard.
Yeah.
Like, he has to walk backwards downstairs. Like,
I do just want to say this, bro. Like, Khamzat doesn't really strike me as a freaking Ramadan kind of guy.
I mean, he's following.
He's
following
always
IG
cruising.
picks,
He's cruising in his car like 200 miles per hour on the highway, going to clubs with Darren Till here and there. I mean,
getting into brawls with Nate Diaz, even though it was like a water ball.
I didn't know he was super religious. I know he's not as religious as a guy like Khabib, but I guess it is what it is. Anyway, I think we should before we move on to the next topic, I actually am gonna say this. I'm picking Usman to beat Leon in their rematch. So I'm really looking forward to that because, as that fight gets closer, there are so many questions that need to be answered, and I'm just really excited for it. Who are you guys going to pick in that fight before we move on to the next topic?
I'm going with Usman by some sort of finish. I think he just goes in there. He's like, it's time to wrap up business. Like, yeah, that was cute what you got on me in the second fight. Watch this. And I think he comes in with a fire. It's been a while since we've seen contender Usman, and I think that's gonna spark something in him.
I want Usman to win. I've decided I wanted Usman to win. So I'd rather see Khamzat versus Usman, just even if it's not going to happen, just like the small chances that it does happen. I also just don't want to risk seeing Masvidal getting another title shot. But if I have to make an honest prediction, I think Leon wins. I think we're going to see more Leon I think we're going to see more of the Leon that we saw in the first round. Let's just say that. I think the altitude really played a factor. I think he's in his hometown, which is going to help a ton. Like as we saw with Volkanovski, that home energy helps a lot of fighters. I think it'll help Leon. I think Usman's going to be tentative. I don't think his grappling will work as much. I think Leon is only getting better on the takedown defense, on the ground overall. And I think I kind of want to say Leon knocks him out again, but at the same time, I'm gonna pick Leon by decision. I think Usman will get him down a bit here and there, but I don't think he's gonna really be able to hold him down. And I think on the feet, Leon will just be better on the feet since he's a better striker. And I don't think we'll have to worry as much about the takedowns because they're just not going to be landing. So, I think Usman's also going to be tentative. But who I want to win, I want to see Usman win. And I think if Usman does win, I think it's going to be by decision. I don't think he's finishing. I don't think he can finish Leon straight up. I really don't. But I hope Usman wins though, because I just do not want to see Masvidal versus Leon. because
Yeah.
then Khamzat gets skipped over once again, which would suck. But yeah, you want to go up to the next topic?
Yeah, sure. So we have another big fight that was announced. Henry Cejudo and Aljamain Sterling are being targeted for UFC 288, right? I think it's May
Yeah,
6th.
288.
Is it 288?
May
Yeah,
6th. May 8th.
May 6th. So first thing I want to ask is, should that be the main event? Second thing I want to ask is, who are you guys picking and why? So Flagrant, you can go first.
Should that be the main event? I'm just trying to think of who could possibly be fight. It would have to be a title fight that would have to be over them. So I'm trying to think out of all the weight classes, flyweight probably won't get a title fight. Heavyweight won't. Light heavyweight maybe. Maybe Jamal Hill fights someone, but I think this is pretty safe to say that this will be the main event, and then have on the undercard,
Maybe Volk.
like, oh yeah, that's a good, yeah. Maybe they do the rematch, or maybe Volk versus Yair, one of those two options. That would either of those two fights would for sure
Islam's and
be.
Ramadan too, though.
Oh, that's
But
right.
maybe
that's right.
Yair. Maybe it's
Yeah.
Yair.
Either of those fights would pass Aljo versus Cejudo for the main event. Not only just from a popularity standpoint, but it's very rare you get the lower weight class to headline over the higher weight class. You have to be a real star to do that. But my first thought. So, what was the question? So, should they main event, and then what was the other one?
Who are you picking and why?
Okay. I'm picking Cejudo. I think Cejudo, yes, he's been out for about 3 years now. His last fight was against Dominic Cruz in May of 2020, I think. I think he matches Aljamain on pretty much all facets of the game besides jiu-jitsu. He's a better wrestler than Aljamain Sterling is. He's a better striker than Aljamain Sterling is. He's just a better athlete, I'd say. He's a smarter fighter. That's kind of more debatable, just because there's not really any sort of concrete thing you can look at there. But I just think he's just better at most of the game, and at the parts of the game that matters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another thing that I could see them doing is maybe Brandon Moreno and Pantoja. Although Brandon did take a lot of damage in his fight with not that much damage, but he did take some damage. But anyway, Jacob, what do you think?
I think they're gonna do Amanda Nunes versus Irene, whatever the fuck her name is.
Maybe Nunes, and maybe they'll also put on what's Wei Li versus Namajunas too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Rose is coming back anytime soon, to be honest.
Oh, the third one. Oh yeah, that'd be the third one.
She's got Whaley's number.
Damn, dude. Yeah, I don't know if I want to see that.
I don't know if she's coming back. I don't know if she's coming back, to be honest, Rose. Like, I think there's something going on there. But,
ever?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe eventually. I think she's taking some. I don't really understand what's going on, because why hasn't she come back by now? You know what I mean?
I've been wondering. I literally asked my friends that the other day. I'm like, where is she?
Yeah, it's a little weird. But in terms of Henry versus Aljo, I think it's going to end up being the main event. I think they're going to do freaking Amanda Nunes as the co-main event. I think they're going to add a good featured fight and a good opener to make up for it. I don't know where the location is. Is it going to be Barclays Center? I think it may be Barclays.
Man, that'd be kind of a shitty main event for Barclays Center. I mean, I love this fight as much as the next guy, but when I'm thinking Barclays Center, New York, I'm thinking like a bigger main event.
Yeah,
you could stack the card though and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's definitely something they could do if they do Charles and Benny on the undercard.
You could put Charles Benny as a co-main even.
You could have that as the feature fight, and then the Nunes title fight as the co-main, and then that's a good card. Those three alone, that's good.
Yeah, that's a very good card.
Tai Tuivasa, Tom Aspinall as the opening of the main card.
Just have something, and then throw like a stupid fight in there, like
Strickland Costa.
Strickland Costa.
Let's watch Strickland get knocked out.
Yeah.
But
I don't think that would happen, but that's a whole other combo.
Yeah, but in terms of that matchup, Cejudo versus Aljo. At first, I thought Aljo was going to win, but as time goes by, I'm really thinking Cejudo, because you got to think about this is like the reason some of these wrestlers who are amazing wrestlers, the gold medalists, whatever, struggle to get people down is because like the stance is completely different. But at the same time, they're not getting taken down. they still have that takedown defense. So I don't think Aljo is going to be able to really take Henry down. And I think it's going to be pretty much like, so I think the grappling will cancel out. I think it's going to be striking. I think Aljo is just not as good of a striker as Henry. And I think Henry is so smart of a fighter that he's definitely has some like insane strategy to like exploit Aljamain Sterling's like a hole in his game. And I think he's just going to finish him straight up. I think he's going to knock him out, maybe by a head kick. I think he's going to get a head kick knockout. That's my prediction.
Wow.
That would be sweet.
I think Henry Cejudo is going to head kick him.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, similar to what he did to Dominic Cruz.
Crazy.
I think it's going to be similar to that. I think he's going to catch Aljo on a takedown. Pretty like not really like leading his head in a little bit. I think he's going to get a head kick or maybe a knee even, something. I think he's going to finish Aljo. I don't think Aljo's a fraud at all. I think Aljo's a really good fighter. I think if Aljo fought Sean O'Malley, I think Aljo would smoke him straight up. I think you'd take him down and submit him or just finish him with ground and pound. But I think if Henry Cejudo fought Sean, I think Sean will win. It's just really weird with the like MMA math and stuff. But I think Aljo beats Ian if they fought again. I think Aljo beats a bunch of those guys. Obviously Sandhagen. But I just think Henry Cejudo, I just don't think he's going to be able to take him down just because of that level of takedown defense and wrestling. So, and I think on the feet, he's just way better. Aljamain Sterling, when has he ever knocked someone out or knocked someone down? I don't think ever. You know what I mean? He's pillow hands. I think he's got decent like knees and kicks and stuff like that. But I got to pick Henry on the feet, and I think he's definitely is going to exploit Aljo's weakness, whatever it is. I don't know what it is. But my prediction, I think he's going to head kick knockout or knee knockout. But yeah, I think Henry Cejudo for sure. What about you, Lucas?
I mean, this is a close fight. Like, I just don't see it being one-sided. I think it's going to be very competitive on the feet. You're right. I don't think that Aljamain's going to have a lot of success with Henry. Now, he is going to be bigger than Henry Cejudo. Aljamain's a really big 35er. And sure, he doesn't have the best wrestling. He's a pretty good wrestler, obviously. But like, you know, we've seen this guy get 20 of his 22 takedowns stuffed by Petr Yan. We've seen him get taken down too by Petr Yan left and right in their first fight. I mean, he's a great grappler. He's a really good jiu-jitsu guy in MMA, right? He's very dangerous on the ground. And if he does get the fight there, Henry Cejudo's in a lot of danger. But man, Cejudo is just, you know, such a high level of wrestling. And I think that he knows how dangerous Sterling is on the ground. He'll be ready for that. And when I think about this fight on the feet, you know, originally when this fight was being talked about in the summer, I said that I wouldn't be surprised if Aljo catches Henry with like a sneaky head kick and knocks him out or anything like that, just because he's the longer, rangier guy. He has a lot of volume. And, you know, because he mixes it up so much, he's really versatile with his attacks. It can kind of confuse his opponents. I think that Henry's going to be ready for everything. The more that I think about it, you know, there is really nothing specifically that we can pinpoint when it comes to like, you know, these guys' fight IQ, but Henry Cejudo is just dominated guys before and like made them look easy and made quick adjustments in fights. And it's funny how like we always consider him to be like, you know, this king of fight IQ kind of guy. Like, you know, there's like, we don't know why. I mean, of course,
I think it says something. I think it says something that guys like, or fighters like Weili, Yuri, John, that Demetrius Johnson, that they're all going to New Mexico to train with this guy. Like, I think it says something.
Arizona.
To his fight knowledge.
Yeah, Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona. I think it says something about his fight knowledge and that his understanding of the game, that they all want advice from him. They all want like his training because he's just that smart of a fighter.
I also don't think he's coming back unless he thinks he can win. That's like,
I think so too. You know, and Henry's also making decent money. It's a big YouTube channel.
YouTube is doing really good
breakdowns.
now.
You know, he has a lot of views. I'm sure he makes good money from his gym as well. But you know, he's been out of the game for a few years now. Aljamain's been active. Aljamain had his neck fixed after the first Yan fight. That's why he looked so much better in their second fight. And I think that, you know, Aljamain could be a decent underdog. I feel like a lot of people are writing him off. And man, I just get this idea that his striking is going to be a little bit improved in this fight. And I was saying that going into the TJ Dillashaw fight, I thought Aljamain was going to beat him up on the feet too. You know, I was picking Aljamain to run through TJ, and we didn't really get to see a real fight, unfortunately. You know, it sucks because most of the time, you know, an injury in fights, that's caused by, you know, one guy, you know, checking kicks or whatnot. But in this fight, it really looked like TJ's arm just fell out of the socket, you know, just because he was moving around too much. So
Yeah,
kind
the
of
first
sucks that
takedown.
happened. Yeah, exactly. So I think this is going to be a really good fight. I honestly can't pick anyone to win, but if I'd have to lean towards someone, it'd definitely be Henry Cejudo. I think on paper he wins, but man, he's a little older, and I don't know how is he going to look, man. How is he going to look these days? How is that time going to affect him? We've seen guys take a lot of time off and be just fine, and I think that Henry Cejudo stays active in the gym. So I think he'll actually be all right, though. I don't think the ring rust will affect him. So I'll pick Henry. I think he's going to get this one done by decision. I don't know if he's going to finish Aljamain. I don't know, man. I mean, if Piotr Jan was probably going to finish Aljamain in the first fight if he didn't hit him with the knee.
No, man, I don't know if he's going to finish. I think he's just going to win by decision straight up.
I mean, the 5th round would have been a fucking rough round for Aljamain. He was getting dropped.
Aljo's tough though.
Oh,
Aljo's tough. I mean, other than that,
I mean,
fight
he's tough, but he has some
Moraes
quit in
knocked him out to the Shadow
some,
Realm.
He does have some quit in him. It's a fact.
I think Cejudo knocks him out similar to Moraes did. I think that's going to be a little bit
knee on the takedown.
Man.
There's got to be what do you guys see that Henry sees? Where do you think the weakness is that he's going to exploit?
I mean, the thing is, Piotr Jan has to worry about the takedown more than Henry Cejudo.
You think it's a striking thing?
I think it's a strike. I think he's just more confident in a stand-up battle when he doesn't have to fear the takedown as much because he's so confident in his wrestling.
Yeah,
you watch. It's like a defensive thing.
I think it's just a superiority in the striking and I think Cejudo is one of the best when it comes to just adapting to what the opposition has given you. You watch his performances against Wilson Hayes and then against, Marlon Moraes, he's shown that he can show variety in his game, against Wilson Hayes.
Make adjustments.
Make adjustments. He showed a very karate stance against Hayes, and then Moraes was eating up his leg and he was able to adjust and to win that fight. But I mean, Marlon Moraes is a known gasser every single one of his fights, but still, you got to give him credit.
He looked amazing against Cruz too.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where I think he's so confident in his striking ability. He's a very good boxer. I just think he just knows that he has the advantage when it comes to almost everything in the octagon. But I think Aljo's game plan looks very similar to the Jan fight, where it's just constant takedowns, not necessarily to land them, but to create some sort of exposure and scramble opportunities, whether, that's getting the back or getting the neck or something.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. And I know that Aljamain can submit Henry, and you're right. Not all of his takedowns are expected to land every time, but he just wants to make a scramble happen.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I was going to say that where do you guys think that Henry Cejudo will be on the GOAT list if he beats Aljamain? Now, Aljamain is still not the best bantamweight ever, so I don't even think he's top 2 right now. He might be the 3rd or 4th. But I think that if Henry does come back to beat Aljamain Sterling, who in my opinion is a very, very good fighter, he's a really strong champion. I think that's so good for his legacy, man. I think it might just put him ahead of Volk. I think Volk is number 5 for me still right now. I'd have Volk at 6, and I think until Volkanovski beats another guy, I would put Henry right in front of Volk.
Who's number 5 for you?
I love how Volk is the guy that Triple C is going to be passing. I'd throw Volk in there.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be in front of Volk because
I think so too.
Just he literally we got to remember who the guy's beaten. He fucking beat Demetrius Johnson, who's top 3 ever.
It was very close.
I know it was
very close.
I know it was very close, but I thought he won that fight personally. He beat TJ Dillashaw, one of the top 3 best bantamweights ever, 3 or 4, whatever you want to say. Beat Dominic Cruz, the best bantamweight ever, arguably 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna have beaten Aljamain Sterling, who's literally the best at this time. What more does this guy have to do? Does he have to move up to beat Volk? You know what I mean? I think if he does this, he's probably top 5 ever.
I can see that. My problem is, and I'm a big Cejudo fan. My problem with his legacy is that it's kind of, he doesn't have the consistent names. You get past the since the DJ win, if you go
Yeah.
before that, there's not a lot of great names. There's good names, and also you look at his title fights, all of them have some sort of little asterisk on them. A win's a win, but you look at
Yeah.
the split decision to Demetrius Johnson. If that fight was scored nowadays, or the judges kind of pick and choose which fights they want to give to control, like you look at Grasso versus Shevchenko, they gave Shevchenko the advantage when she was landing shots when
Santos,
Grasso
right?
had her back.
Santos.
Yeah, Santos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Same
And
thing.
then you look at Islam versus Volk, they gave Islam the advantage when it came to control. So it's just like if that fight scored nowadays, Cejudo could have easily lost that fight.
Yeah.
A lot of it was control based. And then you look at the TJ fight, impressive performance, but that was a very depleted TJ Dillashaw at a weight class that he had never fought.
He was like Islam last week.
Yeah, worse.
No,
he was
way
starving
worse.
himself.
Way worse.
He had to use EPO just to make
Islam
weight.
was competing in his weight class, bro.
Yeah, TJ was killing himself trying to get to
Yeah.
that weight class, and it showed in that fight. First big punch that landed, out. Not fully out, but out. Kind of a
Right.
weird stoppage too, so you could add that to the asterisk. And then finally, the Marlon Moraes, he was getting his legs chewed up, but that's fine. And then Dominic Cruz, that was a bit of a weird stoppage.
I'm gonna be real. Dominic Cruz, this is what I want to say. This is why I think it's an asterisk. Dude, he's not that dangerous. Like, he's not a dangerous fighter these days. He just isn't. And the game has caught up with him. So, like, even though Cruz is still pretty okay, and even though he's like the bantamweight GOAT, maybe, like, I just don't think a win over Dominic Cruz is that impressive, bro. I don't.
Nowadays, it's not
Yeah.
as quite because of the injuries and the time off. That wasn't even supposed to be the original fight. I believe that original fight was going to be Cejudo versus Aldo, and then
Wow.
then Cruz had to step in on a couple weeks' notice. But yeah, that's that would have been a much different fight, a much more interesting fight. But
That
I
would have
agree
been
with
way
you.
more interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, Cruz's GOAT status is kind of hanging on by a thread.
Yeah.
You talk about how Anderson's gripping on to that 3 or 4 spot, whatever you have him at. That's how I feel about Cruz's, GOAT status at bantamweight. TJ Dillashaw, if he would have beaten Aljamain, in my mind, would have surpassed Cruz, even though he lost to Cruz. If Aljamain Sterling's, he could be a win or two away from doing that. Cejudo could be a win or two away. It's just it's tough.
Yeah.
Dominic Cruz reminds me of Jose Aldo a little bit in terms of that division. You know, like at the time they were their best, but like the division I don't think was as good. You know what I mean?
The one thing that's still really impressive to me about Henry is that he moved up into, a whole other division after defending at 125 and defended after winning the second belt. And like now he's coming back to defend, to get that second belt again. Like he has championships wins in 2 divisions. And like, to be fair, if we're talking about how important it is to be a double champ, he's done so much in 2 divisions, like just as based on how impressive it is to win belts in 2 divisions. Maybe I wouldn't have him in front of Volk though, because again, like he just doesn't have that many fights in the UFC. And like Volkanovski, that was I think his fight against Islam was like his 14th fight in the UFC. A guy, even like Habib has more fights than Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo, I think this is his 13. Was that his 13th or no, that was his.
Yeah, because he was on a 12-fight win streak.
I'm pretty sure he was at a 13-fight win streak. No,
it was 12.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, man. Either way, I think Cejudo, a win for him is massive. I don't think he's gonna steal Volk's belt for sure. I don't think he'll go up to 145, even though he wants to. I don't think he has a chance to win. I think that even if he's fighting a guy like Yair, I don't think he wins that fight.
Agreed.
Yair's too big for him, too powerful.
If he was somehow able to beat Volkanovski instantly, like a top 4,
maybe.
top 3,
I think instant top 3, but maybe even a GOAT. Like if he beats Volk,
that's 3 belts.
That's like the best of all time, honestly. After
no one's done that.
The thing about Henry though is like Flagrant said, like before, or Lucas, you may have said this, but before that Demetrius Johnson win, like he was kind of like
under the radar. You froze up, Jacob.
But
yeah, I guess I'll continue for him until he gets back.
You hear me?
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, we're good. We got you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but I one of you guys, I forgot who it was, but said something about him before the Demetrius Johnson fight. I think that's a real thing.
Yeah.
I think he was kind of just like top 5 about, but nothing that special. Wasn't considered special. Then he beats Demetrius Johnson. He's suddenly like one of the top guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you beat Demetrius Johnson, #1 pound for pound at the time, I believe. Like, you're considered very good. So I think if he does win at 45, I mean, like, he's top 3, maybe the GOAT. You know what I mean? Like, nobody, like, probably the best fighter in all of combat sports ever if he does that. Like, who's done that? You know what I mean? That's what I see Henry as. Like, I think he's a very like he's a really versatile fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's more what I see him as. And I think, like, if he does beat Aljo, though, like, he would have three title wins at 35, I believe, right? He would have 2 title wins at 25. That's like 5 title wins. That's pretty good, but in 2 different divisions, like, come on. Like, it's not no Mickey Mouse one like that DC had without beating Jones. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Or like fighting fucking Derek Lewis as a title defense. Like, so, yeah, I think, but if in terms of Aljo, like, if Aljo wins, though, like, that's his like first like legitimate, like, I mean, the Peter Yan one was legitimate, but Peter Yan didn't have his corner. It was a very close decision. But Aljo, man, if he beats a guy like Henry Cejudo, though, I think he's the second best bantamweight of all time.
So Jacob,
you guys agree? Aljo wins.
No, if Gon or John wins the heavyweight title, is that going to be a Mickey Mouse heavyweight title because Francis retired?
I think Gon won that. That's the thing. I thought Gon beat Francis, though.
But either way, if he didn't get his hand raised. If he or John wins the title, is that a Mickey Mouse?
No, because title? John was suspended, and John was beating guys like bad.
He was on sauce, though. Like, there's a reason.
Yeah, why. But like, still, like, I think a lot of these guys are on sauce, and I think
was Charles Belt a Mickey Mouse belt?
No, but like, it's different. DC. Look, the thing about DC is that he lost.
I think DC's belts are listen. I think the fact
that he lost to John Jones twice, though.
Okay, yeah, one when John popped.
But he still had good title defenses. Like, his title defenses were against Gus. They were against Rumble Johnson.
Gus was so
dangerous. Exactly. Like,
Gus was washed.
Gus was good at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, the Gus that fought Jones was washed, not the one. The Gus that fought Jones was washed.
No.
He had a really bad knee injury.
He gave a war to Daniel Cormier. I think Gus was still really good then.
He beat Rumble twice.
Yeah.
The Rumble win was pretty good, I have to say.
He beat him twice, man. And also, I think that, listen, John Jones, dude, like, he popped for real. Like, John Jones had the worst case of popping for gear in, like, recent MMA history.
No, but in terms of Francis,
it was so bad they kicked him out of the sport the very next day, basically.
Yeah, I don't think it's Mickey Mouse, though, because I think Gon beat Francis. I
agree with that.
What about Charles' belt? Was Charles' belt a Mickey Mouse belt because Habib left? Because we all know Habib would have beaten Charles.
He retired.
So that's.
He also never fought Charles. He never fought Charles. Habib never fought Chandler or Charles. Like, Cormier lost to
Habib would do dangerous things to Chandler. Like, what?
I agree, but I'm saying is that, like, Cormier already lost to Jones at the time, so he wasn't the best fighter in the world in that division.
That is true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the unknown is better than the.
I agree with that. It's not like Jones just like I think when you vacate, it's a little bit different. Rather than like being stripped, you know what I mean?
I just think he's fought both. He fought DC already and beat him. He beat him 4-1.
Yeah, it's different when you fight the guy. It's different when you fight the guy.
He lost the best guy in the world already. So
I have to say though, like, there is this. People have done some digging into DC's blood work, throughout the years, and they found that his testosterone was like plus 2,000 or something like that.
He's an Olympic wrestler. He's gonna have that gorilla testosterone.
There's no one that could have that kind of test after doing a severe weight cut. So I don't know, man. Like, he could have been on some shit too.
No, I saw that tweet about the research, and it was never confirmed by.
It could be some bullshit.
I just had to defend my boy DC. That's all. I didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. I think DC is still a great fighter. maybe a fight with him and Jones at heavyweight looks different, but you never know.
No, I made a
I think
video today
Jones
about that.
probably just had his number though. But
He probably did.
anyway, I think that, if we are to talk about the UFC 285 card, before we get into some of the other topics, because I do want to discuss, let's just discuss Charles and Beneil first, actually, because that's a really good
I also
topic.
want to talk about Shavkat a little bit, if you guys don't mind after.
Yeah, we could touch on Shavkat, but Charles is going to be fighting Beneil Dariush. I don't know why it's not made yet. Hopefully it'll be made on the same card as Henry Cejudo and Aljamain. And I'm excited for it, but a part of me is dreading that day because I am picking Beneil Dariush. I'm a massive fan of Charles Oliveira. He's one of my favorite fighters right now. I just think that the reason why I would pick a Beneil Dariush is because Charles Oliveira's style that got him to become a champion was, heavily reliant on being able to go to war with people in the pocket, to be able to outgrit them, to outlast them, to tire them out here and there, to land good shots, to take good shots. And I don't think Charles is going to be able to afford that privilege against a guy who can grapple and submit you, who also has massive power like Beneil. So I want to ask you guys, who are you picking in this fight and why? Flagrant, you have the floor. Who do you think is going to win this one?
I'm going with Dariush as well. I think he proposes a lot of problems for a guy like Charles Oliveira. I think his takedown defense is going to be huge. His scrambling. I think the power on the feet is going to be big because Charles can get caught, obviously, in like every single fight. And then if it does hit the ground, he is competent enough, jiu-jitsu wise, very competent to keep himself out of danger. But there is that always present threat of Charles Oliveira. He's like the most quick trigger fighter you will ever see, in the sense of it just takes that for him to catch you on the chin or to snatch up a limb or a neck or just anything and get you in a very compromised position. He's just the ultimate, just like threatening fighter. It takes just a split second for you to be in really bad danger. But with all that being said, I'm going with Dariush because I just think that he just has all the tools that you would want in a fighter to beat a Charles Oliveira. Can keep it on the feet. When it's on the feet, can crack. If it does hit the ground, he can keep himself safe. So yeah, I'm going Dariush.
Yeah, I also got Dariush. It's unfortunate. Obviously, Charles winning would be amazing. He's the more entertaining fighter. Dariush, I think he's a very nice guy. He's just not like nothing that entertaining, And I think, I think Charles, if he wins, I think a rematch against Islam, even though I think Islam would win, I think it'd be very, very entertaining, and I think it'd be a quicker fight. I think it'd be fireworks. Charles would probably get finished, and that'll be it. But I think if Islam fought Dariush, I think it'd be like a bit. I don't think it'd be as entertaining, at least to build up and everything, the whole event overall. So I definitely want Charles to win. I really like Charles. I'm a huge fan of Charles. But like you guys said, the way he became champion was this reckless style, and you can't afford to do that against a guy like Dariush, who's amazing grappler and who's got a lot of power. Like Charles in all of his last 4 fights has gotten dropped. How is this fight going to be any different while Dariush is a super powerful guy? So I think he gets dropped by Dariush. I think Dariush jumps on top of him, and I think he submits him. That's my prediction. Similar to what happened with Islam. But at the same time, I could really see Charles completely knocking out Dariush or knocking him down and also submitting him. You know what I mean? You said, if you get on the ground with Charles in his favor, not like the other guy's favor. If he hurts you, he gets you to the ground, or if he snatches you and takes you down, he's more dangerous than anybody, just on the ground by itself. So Dariush, this is a really dangerous fight for Dariush, but I just think that Charles marches forward. He doesn't have much head movement. His defense is pretty bad. I think Dariush is going to land a big punch. I think he's going to knock him down. I think he's going to submit him, or I could just see him just knocking him out completely, just without needing any follow-up shots. I think Charles can get knocked out cold at this point. He's taking so much damage. I could also see him just getting knocked out cold. So I'm going to be picking Benny Dariush. I really hope Charles wins, but it's just his chin is just done. maybe I should want Dariush to win. I don't know. Maybe a Dariush versus Islam fight would be closer. Who knows? But yeah, I think Dariush is going to win, which is unfortunate to say.
Yeah, I agree. I think that although Charles has a chance, of course, he's so dangerous everywhere the fight goes, good on the feet. He's improved a lot throughout his career. He's no longer just someone that can only win with submissions. That being said, that chin is really declining, and you need to be super tough in order for that style to work, the same style that he used to win the belt. And I don't think Charles is just, I think he's mentally tough. I just don't think he's physically able to withstand the same shots that he was able to stand, like, back when he was fighting a guy like Chandler for the first time. I think that he's taken so much damage throughout his career. Maybe the long layoff will help his chin a little bit. I mean, we've seen some guys come back after a long layoff and their chin is better. I don't think that's going to be the case. I've been watching some Beneil Dariush fights back. I watched his fight with Mateusz Gamrot the other day, and man, like, he's so good on the ground. He's really good on the ground, and he's a pretty smart fighter, but I don't know, like, technically he's not that great. He doesn't have that much to offer on the feet. He's got some all right kicks. I don't think he's going to be going to the body on Charles much, but I think he'll be going to the legs. Charles does check kicks, though. Now that I think about it, he does have really good leg kick defense. But still, man, Beneil Dariush, even though he doesn't have like that much variety, he doesn't really have a jab. That overhand right is so fast, and it's like he's really explosive. I think he'll be able to land it on Charles. And I think Beneil Dariush is going to be able to take a couple of Charles's shots to land that one big shot of his own. And I don't think Charles is going to be able to take that. And I think Beneil Dariush is going to jump on him. I think he's going to TKO Charles. He could submit him, of course. I actually think he's going to TKO him. But I could also see him just winning by decision, dropping Charles in 2 rounds. If it's a 3-round fight, I think Beneil's going to drop him here and there and just steal those rounds. And man, like, I think the grappling is going to be pretty damn close, especially if it gets to the ground when both of them are not rocked. But I just don't see like Charles really having that much success taking the fight down without rocking Beneil Dariush, because Beneil has such good takedown defense. As far as which fight I would like to see, based on the result, I would prefer to see a Beneil Dariush face Islam Makhachev, because I think it'd be a more competitive fight. But I still have to say, I think Charles still has a chance to beat a guy like Islam. He has a chance to beat anyone, and I think he would do better than the way that he looked against Islam. I feel like that was such a bad version of himself, and I understand that Islam was really good, and that's why it happened. But I think Charles can make some adjustment to look better than that. I mean, on the ground, he looked amazing. He looked great on the ground up until he was dropped. But on the feet, he looked like dog shit. I'm not going to mince words. Like, he looked like ass in that fight. He had nothing for Islam whatsoever. He looked petrified at the takedown the whole time. And like, he looked like shit. So how could I want to see that guy fight Islam again? I think Beneil Dariush, I think he would get beat up on the feet by Islam. I think Islam would probably beat him by decision. I just think that the grappling would cancel out. And I think Islam is so much better than Beneil on the feet. He has so much more to offer. And like, we just saw Islam get touched up by Volk, but before that, he barely got hit at all in his UFC fights. I don't think he's going to get hit that much by Beneil. So I still think Islam gets it, but I would like to see him tested by Beneil, because Beneil has some power, man. And, he's explosive. So yeah, that's what I think. I think he'll take this one by decision, but I hope that Charles Oliveira can like wrap Beneil's arm up, or, take his arm home, or hit him with like some crazy anaconda or guillotine choke, something like that. Yeah.
I think his best chance is honestly by knockout, probably Charles, or at least knocking him down and just submitting him, because I don't think he wins by decision.
No, he ain't gonna win by decision, man. I think
he's gonna get knocked down multiple times.
Bad,
what I
bro.
mean? He's gonna
Here's
get.
What I will say: if these guys fought 2 years ago, I think Charles would beat Beneil. I think he'd be tough enough to beat Beneil, honestly.
I think he'd knock him out, probably.
I think Beneil is much better today than he was 2 years ago. I think both of these guys are on a different trajectory right now. I think Beneil's really hitting his stride, but Beneil's lost to Alexander Hernandez in the past. I think he's improved a lot, but I mean, that's kind of crazy. Charles has lost to some okay guys as well, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for this fight. I just
I can't see Charles doing it, man. I just can't picture it.
I think we're gonna have a bad we're gonna have a bad what's it called? Charles is gonna have a really bad downfall. Honestly,
Yeah.
I could just see it. It's gonna be brutal.
Yeah, and I don't like it sucks because I've been so not anti I've been anti Charles for a long time, not in a mean way, I've picked the people that go against him and then so I was anti Charles probably after the Dustin Poirier fight is when I'm just like, all right, like I had something brewing inside of me that I got annoyed with his fan base and so that kind of reflected in my opinions of him.
So
But
wait, let me ask you, did you pick Gagey to beat him?
I picked Chandler, Dustin, Gaethje, and Islam to all
Wow.
beat Charles Oliveira. And then now I'm picking Dariush. And honestly, it's not from a like being genuine, even though his fan base annoys me, and so therefore he kind of annoys me. It's not in that sense. It's just I think Dariush is just a bad matchup in the same way I thought Islam was a bad matchup. And it's nothing against the guy. I hate to keep beating a dead horse of me picking against him, but I just think I think it's just a matchup thing.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I think so too. I picked Chandler to beat Charles, but I did pick Charles to beat Poirier and Gagey, and I was so happy when he got those wins. The Gagey win was so satisfying because I don't like Gagey at all. He's probably the fighter I like can't stand the most, even though I like his fights. But yeah. Anyway, this will be a really good fight, man, and I can't wait to see it because if Charles does get it done, it's gonna be amazing. So
I just can't see it. I just think he's gonna have a really bad downfall. Honestly,
yeah.
that's my prediction.
Yeah.
I think Dariush is gonna knock him out cold. That's my official prediction. I think
Damn.
first or second round, just knock out cold.
Yeah, his style isn't really sustainable through like a long career, even though he's been in the UFC for a long time, but he hasn't really had this style for a long time. It's only been a couple years he's fought like this, probably since like around the Kevin Lee fight, maybe a fight or two before that. He really did this heavy forward pressure. Yeah, that's not sustainable against the elites of the division.
Yeah. But another topic, guys, that we have is Jacob, you wanted to talk about Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't really gave our predictions on that, so I wanted just to like.
How about you want to do a little breakdown of the 285 card? Just
yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do a break. Let's give our official one. I don't know about
official picks.
Want to give official picks because we said
we could just do quick picks, but also like what we like about the card.
Okay, yeah,
let's don't like about the card. I think
let's start with the prelims though, because they do have some good prelims.
Yeah. Well, one of the fights on the prelims is Derek Brunson and Dricus du Plessis, which is going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to that. Let's see what are some other fights on the prelims. UFC 285. Ian Gary is going to be on the prelims. That's going to be fun.
He's going to win.
Wait, is he on the early prelims? Wow,
his last fight was kind of disappointing. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, his last fight wasn't all that great. Yeah.
He's still going to win. They're kind of
Julian Marquez is always pretty entertaining. I
love watching him.
Yeah, he's fun.
Cody Garbrandt's always entertaining.
Oh yeah,
Garbrandt has a new matchup in Trevin Jones.
He's getting knocked out again.
Viviana Rahu versus Amanda Ribas. Dude, I like Amanda Ribas.
Bo Nickel on the main card is super fascinating. The fact that they're putting him on the main card. This is his first UFC fight. And it's
but he wouldn't do anything. Like he's a big star already. Like or
right.
like not a big star, but like people like know him more than other guys like on the.
Yeah, I understand it. It's just crazy to think that a guy who has 3 wins, and it's not like a Brock Lesnar thing or like a Anderson Silva thing where they've been established guys in other promotions or another sport like this. Well, I guess this guy has been in another sport, but like. It's crazy to think that this guy has 3 wins and now he's going to be on a main card for his first ever UFC fight. I'm not mad at it at all. I love it. Like, let's get these guys attention. And I think he could be a real player in the 85 division. But I'm super fascinated about that. I think that's really cool that he's the first fight on the main card.
Let me talk about Bo Nickel a little bit more because I touched on him in my latest YouTube video a lot and he's getting a lot of hate. I don't know if you guys see that. But if you look at like any Instagram post with a Bo Nickel interview where they usually do the quote first and then you slide to the video, like the comments are always flooded with who does this guy think he is? All this kind of shit that like the fans, UFC fans, someone has to win us over in order for us to really respect them. And I understand like he's getting a big spot on a main card and he hasn't even fought in the UFC. That could rub some people the wrong way. But like the guy is so high level, and we rarely see that. You know, when Israel Adesanya came into MMA, like, you know, even that isn't as high profile as like Bo Nickel, who is, you know, a Penn State champion wrestler in college, like NCAA champion. That's big. Penn State is like the elite of the elite when it comes to wrestling schools. And based on his performances, man, like he's looked so good. He's looked amazing. He beat the last two guys basically in identical ways, you know, landing a big shot and hitting a takedown at the same time. Like he's a really good athlete, and I think he's going to dominate this guy. And I think, like, listen, if you're going to have such a crazy performance, you may as well just have that on a big stage. I think it's going to be kind of like Pereira and his UFC debut. And, you know, I think that may have been on the prelims, though, but still, I think it's good. The alternative is Derek Brunson and Dricus du Plessis. And I think that although those guys are more proven in the UFC and they're highly ranked, like, they're still not very big names. They're not going to sell any more than a Bo Nickel. I feel like Bo Nickel still has hype, whether you like him or not. And you do need a fight that's still interesting on the prelims, and it has a bunch of interesting fights. But I'm excited for that as well. There's a lot.
Is Camera versus Turner on the main card?
Oh yeah, that's on it as well. They just haven't put it on the website yet.
I'm excited for that. That's gonna be a good fight.
Jesus, man.
Me and Lucas disagree on that. I got Camera winning.
I want to talk about that as well. But before we get into that, why do you guys think that Bo Nickel gets so much hate? Like, have you heard him talk? Because to me, when I hear him talk, he's super confident. And he's kind of funny too with his shit talk, you know, because it's not like Colby where he's just chirping, just talking to talk, but he's really serious about everything that he says. And I like it, man. I think America, we don't have many American fighters that are this confident, that can talk shit, that have the look, that have like a serious background in wrestling. I think that maybe he's just getting hate because he doesn't have that accent, you know? He doesn't have that like Chechnyan Irish accent.
I love Bo Nickel.
Yeah,
straight up, I love Bo Nickel. I'm a huge fan of him now. At first I was like not sure about him, and then I listened to his recent interview with Ariel, and I see that too, Lucas. I could see him being a really big star in the sport, and why he gets the hate, I don't really understand it. He's just a confident guy, and it's just he says some stuff that's just like that he clearly believes, but it's kind of funny, and he just keeps such a straight face when he says it. So I think that's very entertaining. Yeah. And I think he's a great fighter. I think he's going to be very great. But at the same time, he's going to need some time, you know? Like he said it himself. He doesn't want to be a guy who fights a Robert Whittaker at it for his 6th fight. You know what I mean? Like he's going to be a few years until he really gets going. I think the comment that got people upset the most was saying that he's not a prelim guy. I think that's what really made people dislike him. I think before that, people didn't really dislike him much. But this guy, since like high school or college, was promoting like his Instagram and stuff like that. Like this guy is going to be a star. Imagine him as a main event. Like I think he's got some good trash talk. I think he's going to be able to sell fights. Now he's working with Jake Paul. Like they definitely have something planned. And I'm excited to see him fight. I think he's going to get a 1st round finish for sure. And I think, but the interesting thing to say though is like, he's saying he wants to take this slow, but once you start getting getting wins, and you're like, you see this path in the middleweight division, he may want to rush things. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping he doesn't do that, because I want to see Shavkat win the bout, defend the bout a couple of times, and then maybe Bo Nickel's time. You know what I mean? So but I really like Bo Nickel a lot.
I think what also rubbed people the wrong way was the comments he made about Alex Pereira and Adesanya, that, oh, they don't want me to get my hands on him because, like, I'm going to, you know, put them in a realm that they've never been before, and, like, they've never dealt with a wrestler like me. It's like, I think with that, like, now that's a lot of him promoting himself and, like, just trying to be braggadocious and all that. But, like, also, like, let's chill out a little bit, Bo. You know, I don't think if he were to be put in the octagon with Alex or Izzy right now, I think he'd have a very, very rough night. But so I think if you're going to be starting your career out on the main cards, you're going to want to fight some good guys really quickly, because if you're going to be fighting no names, your 3rd fight in on main cards, people are going to start to get annoyed with you, you know?
That's a good point. That's a really good point. But yeah, I mean, I think him versus Adesanya or Pereira, I think that's interesting, but I think those guys could do enough to stuff a takedown or two.
Yeah,
And
I think right now, I don't even think it's
yeah,
interesting right
Yeah,
now.
I think that
There's
I
no way he
honestly
can close
agree,
that
man.
distance.
Like,
yeah,
I think like right now he's so green, and listen, he's so new to striking that those guys, like, you know, especially Izzy, who've been like training in MMA for a while now, who already has good takedown defense, is, you know, going to know exactly what to do with a one-dimensional grappler like that. But I don't think he's going to be like a one-dimensional fighter. Um, for where he's going to be ranked right now, I think he's going to be able to beat these guys up on the feet too, because he has that power and the threat of the takedown. And I think we're going to see him have like a really, really impressive finish over Jamie Pickett. I think he's going to slam him, maybe choke him out, or just like land a massive one punch KO. Is something like, it's going to be crazy. And I'm looking forward to it because I think that this guy could be the next big star from America. I think he'll be a bigger star than Colby because I think his personality is real. It's more authentic. And, you know, guys like Usman, they don't have the best personality. And, like, you know what I mean? I think that Bo Nickel is going to be a little bit more electric. And I actually hope that I see a heavy grappling game from Bo Nickel. I don't want him to just go in there and fall in love with his power. I want him to actually, like, you know, go get some rounds under your belt, grapple, get on top of some guys, like just win the rounds. Of course, if you find the finish, find the finish. But I'd like to see him actually, like, you know, grapple a lot, because I want to see, like, what is a high level Penn State modern day wrestler look like with some striking in MMA. And I hope that he can. I hope he's like the best modern day high level wrestler to cross over into MMA. So I'm excited to see it. Of course, I think it's good that he's going to be able to take some time because, you know, it's the belt. As this is what he said. He said he wants to win the belt, but he really wants to just be like the pound for pound #1 guy. And in order to do that, you have to do more than just winning the belt. You have to, like, really dominate everyone that you fight, and you have to work your way up. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Another fight, Gamrot and Jalen Turner. These guys, I've watched both of their fights back recently. Of course, I watched Gamrot and Dariush, but, you know, I also watched Gamrot's fight with Arman Sarukian back. And although I still had Arman Sarukian winning that fight like 4-1, and he even dropped Gamrot in that as well with like a spinning back fist, I have to say, like, Arman Sarukian is a pretty decent striker, but his hands kind of suck. And Gamrot, like, looked pretty good with his boxing in that fight. Like, he looked all right. He didn't look great against Beneil Dariush though, but he looked competent, is what I'm saying. And what really impressed me was his ability to just scramble, like with a guy like Arman. And he's so good on the ground. And I can't imagine him, like, just because he got stuffed by Beneil and Arman Sarukian, I can't imagine like Jalen Turner being on that level. I think that Gamrot, if he closes the distance, and he can close the distance very well, I think he's going to be able to take Jalen down and submit him. But Jalen Turner is the most dynamic striker at 155 right now. He's so fucking dangerous on the feet. Like, he's so dangerous. And all it takes is like one combination. And he's fast, man. He's so fast. He's got a long reach as well. He's 6'3". He's got big power. He goes to the body. He mixes it up. He's got really good kicks. I think he's a top 3 striker in the lightweight division right now. I think he's that good right now. I think he's like right behind Poirier and Fiziev. I think he's so amazing. But I have to go with the grappler over the striker. You know what I mean? I think that's just usually how it's going to go. If you have I think right now, striking and grappling, they're even, like, as far as how good that skill set is for them. I think Jalen Turner's a little bit more well-rounded, but I don't think his grappling is going to be of any match to Gamrot. I think Gamrot's going to win this one, but I would not be surprised if Jalen Turner TKOs him, because Gamrot's in a lot of danger if he can't take that fight to the ground, and I think he will get finished if he can't get it down early.
I think he's going to gas. I think he's going to gas Turner out. That's what I think he's going to do. I think he's going to have constant pressure, and I don't think Turner is going to be able to do much with it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, Turner's a great striker, all that, but if Gamrot's pressuring him the whole time, this ridiculous pace, he's tons of clinch work, maybe even gets him down. Like, he's not going to be able to do anything about that. You know what I mean? I just think I think he's a better version of Colby Covington. Let's say that in terms of his pace, and I think it's just going to be too much for Turner. I don't think Turner will really have much of a chance to really show his fighting, show his striking at least. So I think Gamrot's going to win. I think he's probably going to win by either a late finish or a decision. I'm going to probably say a decision. I think it's going to be 3 rounds to none. Complete ridiculous pace, amazing performance for Gamrot, and I think he's going to bounce back, and I think he's going to solidify himself as maybe a top 5 lightweight in the division, because that's what I think he is.
Yeah, I mean, Gamrot is one of the best like offensive and defensive scramblers in all of MMA. So like, no matter what fight he's in, there's going to be some high level grappling. And yeah, I agree. I think he does get it to the ground, and I think he could finish him there.
Yeah. I would be really surprised if I see Gamrot not be able to take this fight to the ground. But again, man, like if he can't get that takedown, he's in a lot of trouble. Like Turner's so much better on the feet than anyone Mateus has ever fought. So yeah, he's in for a rude awakening if he can't get it to the ground, that's for sure. But another good fight, Shavkat Rakhmonov and Jeff Neal. I'm really looking forward to this one. Jeff Neal has some serious power in his hands, but like Shavkat's just bigger, taller, got a longer reach, and he's so much better on the ground. I think Shavkat's going to get this one done. I think he's going to submit Jeff Neal. I think he's going to slow the fight down. It's going to be a typical Shavkat fight. It's going to be slow at the start, and he's just going to slowly but surely find his way to like get a submission. So yeah,
it's crazy that he's like a -500 favorite against Jeff Neal. Like that's unreal.
I kind of want Neal to win. Like I like Shavkat Rakhmonov, but I'm not a fan of him. Like there's just like I can't really get behind him at all personality wise. You know, like there are other guys that have good performances in the UFC. There are other guys that finish people in the UFC, and Shavkat has some serious skill, but there's just nothing there. So I kind of want him to lose just so there can be a big upset. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see him losing. I think he's going to be able to take Jeff Neal down quite easily, to be honest. Jeff Neal has decent takedown defense, but he's never fought a guy like Shavkat in terms of the wrestling field. And I think he's going to just take him down. I think he's going to work his way, like take his time a little bit, and I think he's going to find the submission late to the like maybe late first round, I would say. I don't think he's going to really take much damage. But if he does struggle, like I think Jeff Neal has advantage on the feet, to be honest. You know, like he's got some crazy power, and it'd be interesting to see if he does stuff a couple of Shavkat's takedowns early on. What would happen? But I think Shavkat's going to be able to take him down quite easily, to be honest. And I think he's just going to work his way to finding a submission, take his time. I think he's going to find a submission, submit him, and that'll be it. And I don't even think he's going to really get hit more than a couple times, to be honest. That's my prediction. And I think we're going to hear a ton of hype around Shavkat, which is going to be annoying because I definitely like Chimaev a lot more. And Shavkat, like Lucas said, like there's not much to his personality. You know, he's a great fighter, super entertaining fighter, but he doesn't really say anything. You know what I mean? He's just this guy from the mountains. Like, you know what I mean? There's nothing more than that. So it's going to be a shame when people are going to start saying, I could already see people are going to start saying he's better than Chimaev. Yeah. And let's pump our brakes. Let's see how he fights against a Gilbert Burns or something like that. But yeah, I think he's going to win. I think he's going to take him down early on. I think he's going to take his time, find a submission, submit him late in the first round. That's my prediction.
No, yeah, I agree. I think, but also Shavkat's pretty dynamic on the feet too. Like there's like wheel kicks and a bunch of crazy.
But
stuff.
I think Jeff Neal has got tons of power, though. You know what I mean? So like, I think like Shavkat, I would say does have better kicks than Chimaev. That's what I do have to say. You know, but I think as an overall striker, I think Chimaev's a better striker, and I think he's got more power. You know?
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think I agree. I think it's just going to be a Shavkat wrestling match, and I think he's just able to get Jeff Neal down, much like the Gamrot prediction. I think he just is going to get it to the ground and then have his way. I think he's very talented. I do want to see him tested, though. You know, I want to see more of his striking. I do want to see a lot of that stuff, but based off what we've seen, he seems like a very legit prospect.
Yeah. Someone said something about Shavkat isn't as scary, reckless as Chimaev. I mean,
I can see that. He's not. Yeah, he's much more defensively sound.
It's just, I think we're basing a lot on the Burns. I think the Burns fight was not a great showing of Chimaev, to be honest. But that's kind of the only thing we can base it off of. You know what I mean? So which is kind of a shame. I think Chimaev's a lot better than that. You know what I mean? I think Chimaev is more like how we saw him in the first round against Burns, maybe. I think he can go switch stances. I think he's got really good power. His boxing is great. You know, I mean, his leg kicks are decent. His body kicks are decent. I think Shavkat is a little bit more flashy with his kicks. You know what I mean? But maybe a little bit less power. So that's what I think. But wrestling, I think Chimaev's the better wrestler, though. I would for sure say.
Yeah, I would definitely say that as well.
But how does Shavkat do against like a Burns or a Bilal is what interests me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a real question.
To take them down, you know what I mean? Like what if he struggles to take down a Bilal? What if he struggles to take down a Burns? Like what happens now? Then you know what I mean? So I think Joffrey is a good opponent. I just don't think he's like it's really going to show us that much yet because I think he's just going to be able to take him down, to be honest, and submit him. So do you guys think that he fights like a Burns next, or do you think it's like more of like a Bilal or something?
Ooh, where's Jeff Neal ranked? Do you know?
He's 7.
He's 7. Okay. Let me pull up the rankings real quick. I want to see who they've got at welterweight. So they got Colby. He's not fighting Shavkat. Chimaev's not going to fight him. Ooh, man, I don't know. Wonder Boy doesn't have a fight. I don't think Wonder Boy wants. That was a fight that was rumored a couple of weeks.
I think he needs to be a jump up higher. You know what I mean? Like I think someone needs to really test him, like a Gilbert Burns or something.
Yeah, they'd probably want to push him. Yeah, Gilbert might make sense. Gilbert or Bois. It just depends on what they're going to do with Colby. Like Colby is just kind of holding up this whole division right now because he's at that 2 spot, and it's just like, what is he going to do?
Yeah, I hope Colby. I hope they honestly strip Colby of not strip him. I hope that they kick him out of the UFC. I'm done with his bullshit. Honestly, he's not a fighter anymore. He's retired. That to me, Colby is a retired fighter. I'm not going to even talk about him as being an active UFC
Holy
fighter.
Shit! It's about to be March, and he still hasn't fought any. Like it's gonna be a year since he's fought.
Yep, and no sign of him fighting either. I think he's done.
Yeah, there's not even any like rumors.
Energy stuff, and that's it.
They said something about. They said something about
that was complete bullshit. That was complete bullshit.
Yeah, nothing's gotten close. It's just been Dana saying, "Oh, the winner of Gilbert versus Khamzat will fight him." No, it didn't even get close.
And everyone's getting sick of him too. Like you see the fans like commenting on his Big Energy post. They're like, "Get in the ring!" Like like stop being clowns, stuff like that. Like how can anyone still support him? That's what I don't understand. Like when he's fighting, he's entertaining, but like this is just like bullshit. You know what I mean? Like it's been a year. He barely took any damage against Masvidal either. You know what I mean? He said he was going to fight like 3 times.
I know. I thought we were going to see an active Covington, man.
I don't think you'll ever see an active Covington. I think he is very selective.
I hate Colby so much because he's not active.
And then he'll fight a guy who's trash. That's what it will be, unless it's for the belt. Like he fought Usman for the belt. Then he'll wait a year. He'll fight a fucking.
He'll fight Neil Magny. He'll fight Magny next.
He'll fight
like Wonder Boy.
Yeah, he'll fight Wonder Boy exactly.
And
then he'll take another year to get a title shot somehow against Usman, fight Usman. I mean, then he turned around to fight Masvidal, but like now he hasn't fought in a year. It's like, come on now, like it's so annoying.
And
he's entertaining too when he's fighting. Like like I don't like hate Colby. I just like hate how he's been like in terms of his like barely fighting anybody. You know what I mean? Like I think when he's fighting, he's entertaining. Like Colby build-up is super entertaining.
Yeah.
Colby fight week's entertaining. The night of the fight, it's super entertaining. Like I'm excited to watch Colby, but it's just like
it's frustrating.
Yeah, I'm sick of it, especially because he's holding up the division too. That's what's the worst part about it. Do you guys think he beats Bilal if they fought though?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I would probably. I think
a tough fight.
I think the pace would just be too much, but I think Burns beats Colby. That's what I think. I think Burns beats him.
He could. He definitely could.
I think Burns beats him, but I think Colby beats Leon.
Leon?
Oh yeah, I think Colby has his way against Leon.
Yeah.
The pressure should be too much.
The wrestling, the cardio, everything.
Same reason why Usman beats Leon again. Like basically, it's just that now he has to replicate that head kick.
What if Leon's a bit? Colby's not as strong as Usman though.
He's still going to take him. Leon's easy to take down.
He's still every bit the wrestler.
That's fair. Burns does beat him. I think Burns beats him. I think Burns for sure beats him. I think Burns honestly can maybe knock Colby out. I think Burns has his sneaky
Could
Burns has his sneaky power. Like he seems to wobble everyone he fights.
Yeah.
Like he wobbled Usman badly in the first round. He wobbled Khamzat too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you don't think he's gonna wobble Colby, you know what I mean? So I think beats Burns. I think Leon, you guys know I think Leon beats Colby, but I think that'd be a really interesting fight. I could see that going either way.
The thing with that though is like how many chances is Colby gonna give Gilbert to rock him? The only reason, or not the only reason, but a big reason why Usman was able to rock Colby multiple times is because their fights were all striking. He could not take Usman down no matter how hard he tried. And if you want to give him that takedown in the second fight, sure. But the point is he did absolutely nothing with it, so it didn't matter anyways. It was just both their fights have been majority striking matches. I don't think it would be a striking match against Gilbert. I think it's a lot of cage pressure, a lot of just cage wrestling, and I think he gives Gilbert zero opportunity to even get close to knocking him out.
It's a good point. That's a good point. I mean,
I don't know if
smothers
he's gonna
him.
want
I
to
mean-
wrestle with Gilbert though. That's
Oh,
the thing.
I think he will. I feel like Colby would be dumb to try and strike with Gilbert. You're
But
not
like
gonna.
nobody seems to want to wrestle with Burns. You know what I mean? Like Usman didn't for a reason. Hamza didn't for a reason. Like I think he'd maybe submit Colby if he does.
Right, but those are two guys who offer much more of a threat in the striking department than Colby does. And also like I just don't see Colby going out there and with the game plan of striking with Gilbert. Like he's not going to win that fight. You have to wrestle him, and Colby can put himself in opportunities and situations where he won't get submitted that easily. You look at the Robbie Lawler fight, and much different fighter than Gilbert, but just as dangerous on the feet. And he gave Robbie no chance to even get close to knocking him out or providing any sort of danger on the feet. And Robbie's a good wrestler too. People forget Robbie's a talented wrestler. At least defensively. Offensively, he didn't show much in the octagon, but Robbie got, demolished.
yeah, that's true.
Same with
I
Maya.
was an old Robbie Lawler though. You know what I mean?
Damian
Like,
Maya.
the one.
Damian Maya didn't really have a chance to submit Colby.
I think Burns is a lot better in the feet. You know what I mean? I think Burns is a better wrestler. Like I think Damian Maya is better at jiu-jitsu, but I think in terms of wrestling, I think Burns is better.
Yeah, he could be.
You know what I mean?
It's close though.
Should I put him volume, run into trouble on the ground with Burns submission threat? I think the pressure, but I think Colby. He may try to wrestle with Burns, but I think that'd go bad for him too. You know, like I think like Khamzat is a guy who loves to wrestle. You know what I mean? And he's felt something with Burns. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Colby's a chance to beat Burns better chance to beat Leon. Someone explain that because I think it's not, even though I think Leon beats Colby, but I think Leon has a better chance of losing than Burns does.
Yeah, I don't understand how. I think Gilbert's a much more dangerous matchup for Colby than Leon is.
Who do you think wins, Leon or Burns?
Oh man,
I think Leon beats Burns.
Yeah,
You think?
I might lean towards Leon there. I
Yeah.
don't think Gilbert has good enough wrestling to consistently get it to the feet.
Get to the ground, yeah.
Yeah.
Or to the
Leon
ground, yeah.
can
Sorry.
lose more easily, yes. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to like we need to see Leon again against Usman. You know what I mean? Like I think once Leon fights Usman again, like if he beats Usman, like we're gonna have to like say that he could beat guys like Colby straight up. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna have to, you know. So I think, and personally, I do think he could, just because I think the altitude really played a huge factor in that last fight. Like I think we're gonna see a better Leon than ever, to be honest, with this fight. And I don't think Usman will have his way much with his wrestling either. That's what I think. But I hope Usman wins though, because again, I don't want to see Masvidal fight have a chance of fighting for the belt. You know.
Yeah.
Do you want to get back to the 285 card?
Yeah. Let's talk about the main event a little bit. John Jones and Cyril Gane. I'm going to be picking Cyril Gane to beat John Jones. That's going to be quite an underdog pick. I don't know how much of an underdog he is right now.
He's
probably
like
minus
130.
Yeah, I mean plus something.
Or plus 130, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. But I think that Cyril Gane is a lot better as a wrestler, as a lot of us are giving him credit for. I think that Francis Ngannou he's not a bad wrestler. He's big, he's strong, he's talented. Francis has a lot of talent, man. And I saw this post on Instagram where they did a comparison with Francis and Surreal, and there was 2 pictures of them side by side, and one of them said hard work and grit, and it was for Francis. The other one was talent for Surreal. And I was like, I understand that Francis definitely worked hard to get to where he was today. He has like a crazy backstory, but like they're both talented. But Francis is also extremely talented, and it's not only his power; he's also just like a freak athlete. I mean, just look at the guy.
Dude,
and extremely strong.
Yeah.
Right? Like the strongest dude we've ever seen in the UFC, and he's like 300 plus pounds in the off season. So to be like shredded, or not shredded, but like super lean at 265, with some wrestling skills, that's like a nightmare for anyone. And that's why I was picking him to beat Jones. I didn't think Jones was going to be able to take Francis down. And I think that Surreal Gone is talented enough, because this guy started fighting in 2018, to be able to like, sharpen up his wrestling after that was like the hole in his game after Francis. I think he'll be ready for the wrestling. That's all he has to fear. I think on the feet, I really think Surreal Gane's going to give Jones the business. I think he's going to fuck him up on the feet, man. I don't see John Jones having anything for Surreal Gane to make Gane want to be scared of getting hit. Because you look at the guys that Surreal Gane has fought recently: Jairzinho Rosenstrike, Derek Lewis, Francis Ngannou, Tai Tuivasa. Sure, none of them are as skilled on the feet as John Jones, but they're way more dangerous. That's just a fact. Like, if you get hit by Derek Lewis, you're done. If you get hit by Francis, you're done. And the same thing goes for getting hit cleanly by like a Jairzinho or whatever, and a Tai Tuivasa too. And that's why we saw him get dropped. John Jones has no power in his hands. The guy doesn't hit hard at all. He's good with his kicks. He's had a great fight IQ. He's a good kickboxer, but he's not a great kickboxer anymore like Surreal is. John Jones used to be a great striker. For me right now, he's not a great striker. He's just a good striker. And I think that if John Jones came in to fight a guy like Jan Blachowicz in 2020 with the same kind of skill set that he had when he was fighting Reyes, I think Blachowicz knocks him out.
Oh my god!
I know that maybe not knocks him out. I take that back, but I think Blachowicz beats him.
You think Jan Blachowicz beats John Jones?
Not anymore. I'm saying if the same version of John Jones that was in the Reyes fight and the Thiago fight fought Jan Blachowicz in 2020, I think he would have lost.
No, he still smokes him.
He didn't smoke Reyes. He didn't smoke Thiago. And I think Jan Blachowicz is a much better fighter than both of those guys.
But a much worse matchup. You think about Jan Blachowicz getting
wrestling. He can't grapple.
But he got wrestled by
Thiago
Gustafsson for 15 minutes.
John Jones, sure. Dominic Reyes is some good takedown defense. But like, I don't know if he has any success on the feet with Jan Blachowicz. I think that Jan's kicking defense is so good, and that basically diminishes John Jones' offense by like 50% because he's all kicks.
That's fair.
And
he got taken down by an old Glover though.
That Glover was championship level Glover, Whoa, that was good Glover. That was not the same Glover that fought Jamal Hill. Yeah, but it's just a different matchup though, and I think that Jones destroys Glover Teixeira because Glover can't get that fight to the ground. Glover on the feet is not good at all. But against a guy,
Jan got wobbled on the feet by Glover too.
True. Jan looked like dog shit in that fight. I'll say that. He looked terrible. And I still think that Jan Blachowicz is twice the fighter of a Dominic Reyes. I think he's.
But like, I think Reyes got crushed after that John fight, though. To be fair,
which even makes it a better case for me to pick Gane because like Reyes looked like ass compared to everyone except for John Jones. He got destroyed
before
by
that
everyone except for Jones.
Good.
It's not like Jones took his chin.
But he was also also got to remember Jones like barely trained for that fight. Like he wasn't taking those fights to the end of his career.
But how do you know that's true? Like
there's a reason he left that division because he was done with it.
I understand he probably wasn't as motivated as he will be to come to heavyweight. I'm sure he's way more motivated, but his testosterone's also way lower than it was back then. I mean, he's been off the sauce for a while. I don't know if he's been in the USADA pool throughout the last few years. Maybe he's getting around the tests. But like, still, he's older. I just don't. If John Jones didn't have any power in his hands at 205, I think that jumping to heavyweight, which is like a new added 30 pounds of new weight that you've never fought with in your entire career, is going to slow him down, and he's going to be less powerful. And I think Ciryl Gane at heavyweight is just a legit talented, like, freak athlete of a heavyweight. I think he's moves like a middleweight. He's going to be just as fast as a Gustafsson from back in the day. He's going to be even more problematic than that, most likely, because he's just bigger. He's a big dude. And he's just a freak, bro. The guy has so many options on the feet. He's so tricky on the feet. And I know John's is smart. I know he can game plan. I can't see him sunning, El Bon Gamin, bro.
What happens if
I
Jones
think Bon Gamin gets it done?
What if Jones takes him to deep waters? Gane's gonna break.
No, that's true. Like, I think that if Jones can really make it a dirty fight, land some eye pokes and some groin strikes. I mean, listen.
What if Jones cuts him up?
Yeah, if Jones
cuts him with an elbow, I think Gane's completely folds at that point.
But I think that a cut. I don't know if he'll fold to a cut. I think
he's
he'll
never
fold.
been.
I think Jones has a chance to, like, make it a dirty fight. Get in the clinch. Fire off elbows, fire off knees. I think that's his best chance on the feet, is to get into the clinch. I just think that out in the open, I think it's going to be so tough to even have a chance against Bon Gamin, bro.
I might slightly disagree with you as far as on the feet, because how limited is Gane's offense going to be? Because throwing kicks against John Jones is a risky game plan. If he catches it, he could easily take you down. We saw that DC. I think that's one of the takedowns he got on DC, was catching a kick. Yeah, and I'm sure he has some other instances I can't think of off the top of my head. But, like, how limited is Gane's offense going to be?
That is going to
catching DC's kick ain't as easier than catching Gane's kick.
I mean, I think that I also think that we got to remember that Gane is going to be so focused on wrestling that it may affect his striking a little bit.
Yeah. That's a good point. He's going to be drilling the wrestling. Like, I don't know if he'll be as sharp with his striking.
Yeah.
That in my opinion, kind of is what happened to Volk. Volk didn't look as sharp as he would have on the feet if he wasn't as, like, focused on that takedown throughout the training camp. And Volk looked good on the feet, but he didn't look as sharp and, like, crisp and unhittable against Islam. You know what I mean?
He was real hittable in that fight.
Yeah, like, I think that I honestly think, man, that I think Jones has a chance to win this. Of course, I think if he takes Gane down and, like, gets in half guard or gets in a mount, it's looking bad for Gane. But Jones took Anthony Smith down, and, like, I am actually kind of convinced that Jones wanted to, like, just bully Anthony Smith and not finish him. I think he could have finished Anthony Smith. I don't know why he didn't.
I think a lot of that was Anthony Smith just praying for his life, because he was just, like, curled up basically in the fetal position.
But, like, you guys think John chose not to finish him? Because I feel like Anthony was such an easy target. How does the John Jones, the legendary ground and pound John Jones, not finish Anthony Smith?
I mean, he did. He had Anthony Smith curled up in a ball.
Oh, yeah, he humiliated Anthony. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, Anthony looked so bad, and John Jones had him in such a bad position. It's almost weird how he didn't finish him.
He's Lionheart, he just
maybe.
I guess, I don't know. He's the 10th best. Yeah,
I don't know. I think he's gonna beat Gane. I don't think Gane has that grit in him. I mean, I think he's a pretty striker. He does well against these fat heavyweights, but I don't think he's got grit at all. And I think that, like, once Jones makes it a little bit messy, I think he's gonna fold, and I think he's just gonna be done.
Did you see the recent interview that Jones did with John Morgan? The reporter that gets Jones did an interview with John Morgan about a week and a half ago, which is he said that one thing that he said is that he wants to surprise Surreal with how big he is, like, when they square up. So I think that John Jones is might be making a small mistake with trying to be coming in, like, super big in this fight, because again, like, I think a good weight for John Jones at heavyweight could be like 240 max. Like, I think if he's any more than 245, that's an issue. Stipe was fighting at, like, 235 against DC in their trilogy, man. So
besides Francis, like, big.
Yeah, exactly.
Besides Francis, who's like the last
How
successful
big is Gon, though?
heavyweight champ?
How
Gon's
big
like
is Gon?
240,
He's
245 maybe.
249, I think. I think he's 249.
Yeah, he's a
He's
big
big.
dude, man.
He's
I
big.
mean, I saw a picture of him next to Anthony Smith in like a post-fight thing, and dude, he just like towers Anthony Smith, and like Anthony Smith's a legit light heavyweight. It's crazy.
Man,
Yeah.
I think that Gon is like, he's big, dude. He's a big guy. He's taller than Francis. Like when those guys, he has like a half an inch on Francis. He's 6'5".
Jones the longer reach, though. Jones is gonna have the longer
Jones is
reach.
the longer reach, but it's by like 4 inches now, 3 inches. Like he has an 84-inch reach. Gon is an 81-inch reach. So I don't think it'll play a big difference in this one.
Yeah. I just think that the thing is, I think Gon is gonna be like so like focused on the wrestling that he may get beaten up on the feet a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
Gon's gonna have to really he's gonna have to do a lot of feinting to keep John, because John throws a lot of he throws a lot of kicks your way, and it's just constant like oblique kicks, then side kicks to the stomach. He sets you up a lot with his kicks. I think Gon's gonna have to do a lot of feinting to kind of keep John a little bit more honest, a little bit more hesitant to throw as many kicks. But I think it's going to be interesting, because I think Gon's offense, like I said, is just going to be a little bit more limited. I think he's going to be a little bit more hesitant to throw kicks.
And these kicks are what is kind of what makes
from
him
what I
so
saw in his last
how he
fight,
manages
knocking out Tai Tuivasa with the hands, like he knocked him out, man.
That's
and
true.
Tai had a good
Not
chin.
Tuivasa, though. Like it's like
True.
Tai's very durable, though.
It's going to be easier to hit than Jones, but there's also a danger with getting in the pocket with Tuivasa, and you don't have that same danger with John.
But John's probably the best defensive fighter in all of MMA, probably history.
I don't even think that's true, man. I think John Jones is definitely overrated when it comes to his defensive game.
When has he ever gotten rocked or hit? Or
he's been. Oh, watch that Reyes fight. Watch the first 3 rounds. He got hit all over the place.
But nothing nothing bad.
He has a good chin. He has a great chin.
Yeah, phenomenal chin.
But he was getting hit clean left and right in that fight. Like a
lot.
Also,
how does Don beat him though? That's like I don't think he finishes.
Don beats John Jones the same way Dominic Reyes beat him.
But like
yeah, exactly.
I don't think he's the has the takedown defense of Dominic Reyes had.
That might be true, but he's going to be more striker, man.
I also think that John Jones is going to shoot more takedowns. Like I think at that point in John Jones's career, he was kind of just trying to make like a point with his kickboxing and stuff.
It just felt like he was going for a Floyd Mayweather approach, where it's just like, I'm just gonna I'm not survive, but I'm just gonna do enough to win. It felt like more of a defensive approach in his last couple of fights.
But I can't even say that I could say that's true in the Thiago fight, but in his fight with Reyes, like Jones couldn't get off at all on Reyes in the first 3 rounds. 4th round, of course, he won. In the 5th round, he dominated Reyes. But he literally couldn't do anything to Reyes early on. Reyes was just like in his face the whole time, hitting him like with his boxing combinations, hitting him with leg kicks, just throwing the kitchen sink at him.
He's also
overwhelmed Jones. And I can't just say like Jones looked bad like in that fight. He really did. And Reyes looked good.
That could just be a product
wasn't motivated, though. That's what we got to remember.
Yeah.
I think he underestimated Reyes. And I think he won't underestimate Gon, but all I'm saying is this, John Jones, like, when's the last time we really saw John Jones hurt anyone on the feet? You know what I mean? Like, it's Daniel Cormier.
Second DC, yeah.
And that was the John Jones that was juiced. And that was 2017, man. That was like a while ago. I mean, I don't think John Jones is as good as he was then. Another reason I'm picking Gon is because, listen, John Jones is the best fighter of all time. And even if he loses this, I think he'll be the best fighter of all time. But still, the fact that this guy's been around for so long, champion at the age of 23. I mean, this guy was a champ in like the early 2010s. I mean, I don't know if you can possibly sustain being untouchable for that long. And I think the game is it's just caught up to him, man. Like the guys that he was dominating back in the day, they're not close to the guys of today, man. Like,
skill wise, athletic wise, like they're just not the same type of fighter. Like,
but also you got to remember,
Don's a freak athlete.
Heavyweights are the least skilled fighters in the UFC, though.
John Jones is. I mean, Gon is just the exception, though.
He's skilled in striking. That's it.
But hey, I have seen Gon submit guys, and I saw
he
him
has
take
some good
Francis down
jiu-jitsu.
But
too.
he submitted freaking heavyweights. That's what you got to remember.
That's true, but he
submits
is
his heavyweights
creative, and he
He's
has some
sneaky.
tricks, and he did take down Francis. He took him
Yeah,
down.
Francis had one leg.
Yeah, I mean,
That is true.
I mean, Francis still had enough legs to take him down too, but
He's not
because
taking down
Gon
Jones.
couldn't wrestle.
I don't
Because
think he's
Gon
taking
couldn't
down Jones, but I do think he's getting in Jones's face and showing him what heavyweight's all about.
I
He's
don't
gonna
know,
show
man.
Jones what heavyweight's
I
all
just
about,
first of
bro.
all, like the thing is, I just can't see Jones getting finished, and I don't think Gon could beat him for three rounds. I don't think he can win 3 rounds on Jones.
Like
I
how
just-
good is Gon's movement gonna look after like that 4th or 5th oblique kick to the knee, or that side kick to the stomach he's been throwing
I
since
don't think
round
he's
1?
gonna land 4 oblique kicks to the knee on Gon. I don't think he's gonna land them. I think he's gonna try. I don't think he'll be. I think Gon is ready for those attacks. I think
He better
Gon.
be.
But
I
so
think
Gon's gonna have to be ready for that, the wrestling, like what else? You know what I
The
mean?
clinch
That's
work.
it. You just have to prepare for the oblique kick.
That's like that's a lot. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, I'm really interested to see if there's any clinch scenarios because both guys are phenomenal in the clinch, elbow wise, knee wise. Both guys are immaculate when it comes to clinch work. I'm just so fascinated to see what happens if it gets there.
I think Jones is probably a little better in the clinch. I mean, like he's so good in the clinch, man.
Probably just because the wrestling threat, you think?
And the wrestling as well. Of course, that's why. But I think toughness. Obviously, Jones is the tougher guy. He's got way more experience. Like he's gone to 5 rounds many times. He's been in wars. He's got the
Better chin.
IQ. But I just think man, when John Jones fights the guys that are his size, I think it's going to be way harder for him. And this is not a guy who's just got the same frame. Like this is a big dude he's up against, man. And
Yeah.
John Jones is say what you want. He's not a natural heavyweight. Like he's had to put on a lot of size, and he's taken years off to do it. We don't see DC taking a whole year off to move up to heavyweight.
Well, he's a natural heavyweight, though.
Yeah, DC is a natural heavyweight. That's what I mean. John Jones,
Yeah.
he's a big guy for sure. But like as I said, some guy said I was bullshitting about this in the chat, but Gon is taller than Ngannou. Legit, he is taller than Ngannou, or every bit of the same height at least. And I think John Jones is a legit 6'4". He's definitely super tall. But I think
he's even taller.
I think Gon's going to be bigger than him.
But also, what would you rather? Would you rather? I know it's not just this black and white, but would you rather have a John that takes 3 years to bulk to heavyweight, or would you rather have like an Izzy scenario where it's just a couple of months?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. The one who's bulking. I think it's good that he's bulking. I just don't think. I think it'll help him more, of course, than a quick move up. But
also, Izzy also had to gain less weight though, because light heavyweight and
but also, you look at the guys that John Jones is training with. He's training with Walt Harris. He's training with one of the. He's training with something green, like another guy who's really tall. I don't know if he's training with like any guys that are that great on the feet. I don't know if he's brought in any high level kickboxers. He'd be dumb not to.
Yeah, I'm sure he has.
I think maybe Izzy. Maybe fly Izzy out. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah, right.
Fly Pereira out.
I don't think that. I think he needs to fly out guys like Rico Verhoeven or some shit that are just like really, really big. But yeah, I think I'm excited for him, man. Another hot take though I have. Do you guys think that Alex Pereira could like beat Tai Tuivasa on the feet in an MMA fight?
Just on the feet?
Yeah, like if they're fighting in general.
Oh, just fighting. Well, I don't think.
Assuming Tai Tuivasa wants to stand and bang, do you think he wins that? I mean, it's a big weight difference.
Yeah, I just. Oh man, that's a tough one because on one hand,
like a weight difference, in my opinion.
Yeah, like what if Ty just grinds on him against the cage and just like it's just.
Also, if Ty lands on him, it's done. Also.
Yeah, like that's a big weight difference.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like someone asked me about like if he could beat any of the top 5 guys at heavyweight. I said Tai Tuivasa is the only guy that he has a chance with, but I'd still favor Ty if he actually tried in that fight. If he tried to win, I think Ty would win.
Yeah,
but
heavyweight's
if he
tough.
Stand and bang with Pereira, that's I mean, bro, Pereira's left hook is so crazy. And I just want to bring up Izzy and Pereira. Like Flagrant, you're still picking Izzy in this one, or are you picking Alex?
I'm going Alex.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the first fight I was pretty heavy on Izzy. But man, after just watching their fight a couple of times and just really thinking about it, it's just Alex is just a horrible matchup for Izzy. He matches him in length. He matches him, of course, in the striking department. So Izzy has to rely, and this first fight showed it, he had to rely on his B game. And his B game is pretty subpar wrestling. It's not great. It's still better than Alex's wrestling. It showed when Alex was on the ground, he really didn't have much a clue of what to do. So I just think that Alex is just going to be able to match him when it comes to everything. And like he's so physical and so strong. The way he can defend Izzy's low kicks, and he can set his distance a lot better than Izzy can with the hand fighting, and then the checking of the low kicks and throwing his own. Like he was winning the leg kicking battle. And if you're doing that against Izzy like Jan did, like you're going to have success on the feet. It's just in the power, man, it's a really tough fight for Izzy to win. He's going to have to come in with a really good game plan.
Yeah.
I think Izzy's best bet is his Pereira having a bad weight cut and his chin being out. That's like his only bet of winning, honestly. Like, because I think if Alex Pereira's chin is how it always is, he's going to fucking kill him.
Or just get better at wrestling,
I just think that Alex Pereira is getting better in wrestling too. You know what I mean? Like he's newer to the sport, and he's Glover's only focus at this point. And Glover's a great wrestler, grappler, submission guy, everything, jiu-jitsu. And I think those same mistakes that Alex made in the first fight, he's not going to make. And I think it's going to be a striking battle. And I think we all know what happens on the feet. Like Pereira, left hook, is going to knock out Izzy in the first 3 rounds. That's my prediction. Yeah. I think he's gonna march forward a little earlier, and I think he's gonna finish him.
I think it's gonna be like a second round KO this time, second or third round. Izzy has a chance to knock Alex out too.
Yeah, I think he also has a chance for sure.
I just don't.
I think that's how he beats Alex. I think he beats Alex by knockout. That's how he beats him.
And I think that Izzy fought like the perfect fight in the last one, and he still lost, man. So
yeah. And I used to just think that
back Adesanya, like it's hard to back a guy who like literally just had his most perfect fight possible and still lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just hard to back that guy.
Even in the kickboxing fights, I used to kind of just look back at the fights and just think, oh, well, it's just Izzy just had some tough luck. Like the judges gave him bad decision, and then he was winning the second fight in the boxing or the kickboxing. But I think it's just the case of Alex just has his number and is just a bad matchup for him and makes his adjustments as the fight continues. You watch that MMA fight, their first fight in the UFC, and you just see the adjustments that Alex is making just with the leg kicking and just the managing of his distance and eventually getting in with his jab. And it's just, man, it's going to take a lot for Izzy to win this. He can. He very well can, but it's tough.
If he loses this one, it's not looking too good for him because he's gonna.
I don't get why he's taking this fight. I don't think Izzy should have taken this fight. Honestly, I think this is stupid of him to take.
It's a winnable fight. It's a very winnable fight.
Clearly, it's not though, or at least since he's lost like 3 times. He's fought his best possible fight. Twice, 2 of the 3 times.
Well, he was up 4 rounds at the end of the first.
He got finished. He did.
No, he did. But he was
just like. It just seems that like no matter how good Izzy looks, he's just gonna get finished. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's just like I don't get what Izzy's doing. Why he's doing this to himself? He's made so much.
I think it would have been better for him to fight Strickland, dude.
What is he gonna do?
We could have had Pereira and Jamal Hill.
What does he do? Go up to 205 for Alex to meet him there too? Like what else is he supposed to do?
But I mean, like just be a contender, man. Wait for Whitaker to beat Alex.
What should have happened was they should have had Alex defend against Whitaker, and then Izzy will fight the winner.
That would have been good too.
And pray that Whitaker beats him so he can beat Whitaker again and get the belt back.
But at least you have some more time to prepare for Pereira.
I think Whitaker beats Alex. I think he beats him pretty soundly.
I think Alex wins, but if you think Whitaker wins, then like that makes it make even more sense. You know what I'm saying? I don't get why Izzy is doing this to himself again. You know what I mean? Like I'm happy about it. I want to see Izzy get knocked out straight up. But at the same time, like if you're Israel Adesanya, like if I'm him, I'm not taking this. I wouldn't have taken this fight. Like no way. You know what I mean? Like he just clearly can't beat this guy.
Got to dare to be great. That's what he says.
Izzy's gonna win. You guys underrating Izzy on this one. That's what everyone said on the first one too. You know what I mean? Like it's just like how could anyone say anything like hyping Izzy up in any of this. Like at this point, you just can't. You just have to hope for the best for him. You know what I mean? If you're an Izzy fan,
I'm taking
That's
that
kind of-
Alex underdog money big time.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet on Alex too.
Yeah. It's just like having him as the big underdog, like pretty significant underdog.
So am I. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. I just like trash talk too. Like, what is he gonna do with the buildup? Like, how is he gonna like trash talk Pereira? Like, what's his excuse gonna be this time? Like we've heard everything in the book at this point. Like, what's he gonna come up with? You know, like how is he gonna sell this fight? Like, how do they sell this fight? I don't get it.
He's gonna say, "Oh, I got this new face tat. I'm a different guy now," or some shit. I don't know. He's gonna do something stupid, something cringy.
I don't think there's gonna be any trash talk. I think it's gonna be all Burns and Masvidal.
This fight. You think that's gonna get crazy?
I think Burns Masvidal is gonna be the one where they're shit talking. I hope that they throw another welterweight matchup on that card, man, because like the press conference would be golden if they did Bilal Colby on it as well, or
that would be funny.
But they're probably not going to do anything else. Knowing the UFC, I think it'll be a good card, but yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to that fight. That
Giannis versus I'm excited for Font versus Giannis. That's a good fight.
Yeah, I'm excited for that matchup, but I just as far as them shit talking, there's no way they're going to shit talk.
No, definitely not.
I think Font is going to piece up Giannis, though. I think Font's going to piece him up, but
he could.
I think Giannis is going to get.
No,
yeah, man.
Giannis wins.
I think Giannis arguably lost to Davy Grant, dude. Like he got pieced up in that fight. He had a whole elephant ear going on in that after that. You know, Giannis is good. He's good, but I think he's taken a step down in competition in his last fight. He fought Davy Grant, very close fight, could have gone either way, and then he fought, I forget his name. This proves my point. Every time I bring up Giannis's last opponent, I always forget his name, and this just goes to prove that he took a step down in competition. So he fought some guy that I don't remember, something Kelly, I don't remember, but Joe Kelly or something. And now he's fighting the best offensive boxer right now in the division. I think Petr Yan's better boxer overall, but Rob
volume-wise,
yeah, just like going with combos and how they strike offensively. I think that Font is a problem for Giannis, but I think his chin is an issue. So I'll go with Giannis in this one.
I also call Rob Font. I've called him not publicly, but you know, to myself and to my friends, I call him Rob Empty Stats Font because this dude in back-to-back fights against Aldo and Cheeto was putting up crazy volume numbers just to get knocked down like 4 times, and then he didn't get finished, so props to him. But man, he got messed up.
Yeah.
So
he looked amazing early on against Aldo. He was piecing Aldo up. Same thing with Cheeto. Like I think he broke a record or something in that fight.
Yeah.
There always seems to be records being broken, honestly. But yeah, Aldo beat his ass, you know, just with the knockdowns. And Rob Font, it's just that chin, man. He's taking a lot of damage. He's on the older side as well.
That volume's taxing.
Yeah, man. It sucks to see a guy like that who's really good just lose based on getting knocked down here and there by Cheeto. But man, I think he'll be able to have more success with Adrian Yanez, but I think Yanez is gonna find the KO or maybe just win by decision due to knocking him down a few times. But yeah.
I can see that.
Jacob, you've been lagging hard. Are you back?
I wanted to say a point before we yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. But you're lagging hard.
All
hardcore.
Right, before we call it, I just want to make one more point. About wait, can you hear me or?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
A little like. So I want to just make. Remember, you told me a few weeks ago that the.
So we might have to wrap it up. I think StreamYard's going overtime right now. I don't know if I can handle it.
Yeah, Jacob, just
Can you hear me now?
Just put it to rest at this.
I think we should end this one up. Yeah.
Let's just call it. Let's call it.
All right, guys. Anyway, guys, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. All of
Thank you guys for
the
commenting.
socials will be in
Like,
the
comment,
description.